Hey everyone, welcome back. It's funny how money, this thing we often take for granted, has been around for, well, basically forever.
It really has. And the ways different cultures have viewed and used money throughout history, it's fascinating.
Totally. So today we're going deep on the history of money and value, using Lynn Alden's Broken Money as our guide. From bartering to Bitcoin, we're covering it all.
It's a wild ride for sure.
To kick things off, let's imagine we're back in ancient times, trading goods without a universal currency. Let's say you're a skilled potter, and you're craving some fresh fish.
Okay, I can see where this is going.
Right. You go to the fisherman, but he looks at your beautiful clay pots and says, not today. I need some wool for a new guy. What do you do?
You've just stumbled upon the biggest hurdle with martyring, that double coincidence of wants. It's this tricky situation where you need something the other person values at the exact time they want it.
Yeah, talk about bad timing. And this gets even more complicated as societies grow larger and people specialize in different crafts.
Absolutely. Alden gives this example. Imagine a society with just 100 different products being traded. You'd need almost 5,000 unique trading pairs to cover every possible exchange.
Whoa, my head's spinning. So how did our ancestors escape this bartering chaos? Enter money, right?
Exactly. It's this brilliant solution to simplify trade. But here's the thing. Early forms of money weren't always what you'd expect.
Oh, I bet. Alden mentioned some really interesting ones like cocoa beans or cowrie shells.
Those are surprisingly common in different parts of the world. And then there are the more, shall we say, unconventional ones.
Unconventional, you mean like giant stones, the ray stones of Yap come to mind. I mean, how do you even buy anything with those?
You're right, those weren't exactly pocket change. The Yapia system was fascinating. Those huge stones, sometimes larger than a person, represented a shared history, a kind of community ledger. It wasn't about physically carrying the stones, but more about the social agreement of their value.
So kind of like a Stone Age blockchain. And that gets to the heart of money, doesn't it? This idea of shared belief in its value.
Exactly. And as civilizations developed, certain forms of money, like gold and silver, rose to prominence, and Alden emphasizes this concept of stock to flow.
Okay, time for an Econ 101 refresher. What is stock to flow and why should we care?
Imagine a bathtub. Right. The water in the tub is the total supply of something, let's say gold. The faucet represents new gold mined each year. Now, gold is tough to mine, so that faucet drips incredibly slowly. The yearly supply is tiny compared to the existing stock.
So a high stock to flow, like gold, means it's scarce and less prone to inflation. It holds its value.
You got it. Now, fast forward to today, and we have Bitcoin entering the scene, often compared to digital gold because, like gold, its supply is limited, capped at 21 million coins, making it scarce in the digital world.
A digital bathtub with a very, very slow drip. But even with Bitcoin's rise, haven't we mostly moved away from gold as money? We live in a world of fiat currency now, and Alden seems pretty concerned about that.
She is, and with good reason. The shift from commodity-backed money to fiat currency was a gradual process, heavily influenced by events like the World Wars and agreements like Bretton Woods.
Right. Those were game changers.
Mm.
So instead of being backed by something tangible like gold,
Yeah.
fiat currency depends on.
Trust. Trust in the government issuing it, and trust in its ability to manage the economy responsibly.
And that trust can be fragile. Alden talks about fractional reserve banking, where banks only hold a fraction of customer deposits in reserve.
Right, and that system, while it can be beneficial, also raises concerns about potential abuse and instability because, in essence, it allows governments and banks to create money from thin air.
It's like financial alchemy, but with potentially disastrous consequences. Just look at the Roman Empire. They tried debasing their silver coins thinking they were being clever, but it ultimately fueled inflation and wrecked their economy.
A classic example of what can go wrong when trust in a currency erodes. And that's a key point. Alden emphasizes fiat currency puts tremendous power in the hands of central banks and governments.
And as Alden points out, that power can be used for good or not.
Exactly. And that leads us to another critical issue she raises: debt cycles. These historical patterns of boom and bust, fueled by debt accumulation, and often exacerbated by government interventions.
We've seen this play out in recent times, haven't we? The 2008 financial crisis, the pandemic, both leading to massive government spending and intervention in an attempt to avert total economic meltdown.
But those interventions often come at a cost. They might provide short-term relief, but often leave us with more debt than before.
Kicking that can down the road until it turns into a boulder. So we're stuck in this debt spiral facing the potential pitfalls of fiat currency. But Alden suggests Bitcoin might offer a way out. Is she just hopping on the crypto bandwagon, or is there more to it?
It's not just hype. Alden emphasizes Bitcoin's decentralized nature. Unlike fiat currency controlled by governments and central banks, Bitcoin operates on a distributed network. No single entity has the power to manipulate it.
So it's like a digital escape hatch from the fiat system.
Yeah.
But Alden's realistic about the challenges, right?
Absolutely. She doesn't sugarcoat the volatility, the regulatory hurdles, the potential for unforeseen technological hiccups.
Okay, so Bitcoin's not a magic bullet. But governments aren't just sitting on the sidelines watching this crypto revolution unfold. Alden also talks about central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. Are those their way of regaining control in this new digital landscape?
It's definitely a strategic move. CBDCs are essentially digital versions of existing fiat currencies issued and controlled by central banks.
So instead of carrying around dollars or euros, we'd have digital versions. What's the difference?
On the surface, they might seem similar, offering faster, more efficient transactions. However, the big difference lies in control and oversight. With CBDCs, central banks could have the ability to monitor every single transaction.
Whoa, that's a bit big brother-ish, isn't it? Alden suggests CBDCs could even be used to control spending habits or penalize dissent. Like, what if the government disagrees with your political donation? Poof, no more money for you.
It's a legitimate concern. It raises critical questions about privacy and individual liberty in a world of digital currencies.
Okay, so we've got Bitcoin championing decentralization, potentially putting more power in the hands of individuals. On the other hand, we have CBDCs, which could give governments an unprecedented level of control. Sounds like a pivotal moment in the evolution of money.
It really is. And this tension between openness and control, it's not new. Alden points out historical examples where new forms of money disrupted the status quo, sometimes with unintended consequences.
Like what? Give us an example.
Take cowrie shells. For centuries, they were a widely accepted form of money in parts of West Africa. Then, Europeans arrived with their advanced glass-making techniques and flooded the market with cheap imitations. It threw the whole system into disarray.
Wow, talk about economic warfare. Makes you wonder if something similar could happen with fiat currencies today. Could cryptocurrencies disrupt the established order?
It's a question worth pondering. We're already seeing the cracks in the system. The rise of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, the growing interest in decentralized finance. It's a sign that people are looking for alternatives.
So are we on the verge of a massive financial upheaval? Could Bitcoin, with its limited supply and decentralized nature, actually spark a return to a kind of hard money system, similar to the gold standard?
It's a possibility. Many economists and investors are recognizing Bitcoin's potential as a store of value, a hedge against inflation.
But they're also stable coins, right? Those are pegged to existing fiat currencies, trying to offer the best of both worlds.
Exactly. Stable coins aim to provide the stability of, say, the US dollar, but with the speed and efficiency of blockchain technology. Think of them as a bridge between the traditional financial system and the crypto world.
So could stablecoins become the dominant form of digital money, even surpassing CBDCs?
It's certainly possible. They're already gaining traction, particularly in the crypto space, used for trading and as a way to protect capital during market fluctuations.
Wow, it sounds like we're on the cusp of a major transformation in how we think about and interact with money. Alden even suggests that the whole concept of nation-state-backed currency could become obsolete.
She does paint a bold vision of the future, a world where individuals have more direct control over their finances, utilizing a variety of digital currencies and assets. Traditional intermediaries like banks might become less relevant.
A world without banks.
Yeah.
That's a big change. But I imagine governments won't give up their control over money without a fight.
You're right. We're already seeing pushback in the form of regulations and attempts to control the crypto space. But as Alden argues, the genie might be out of the bottle. People are starting to understand the potential of decentralized finance. It's hard to turn back the clock once that happens.
It's this tug of war between innovation and regulation, individual empowerment and centralized control. Fascinating times we live in.
Absolutely. And at its core, it's not just a technological struggle. It's about ideology, about what we value as a society and what role we want money to play in our lives.
So we've journeyed from bartering with chickens to the mind-blowing world of Bitcoin and CBDCs. If we had to sum up Lynn Alden's vision for the future of money, what would you say?
Well, Alden doesn't pretend to have a crystal ball, but she presents a spectrum of possibilities, with governments clinging to control on one end and a radical shift toward a decentralized, multi-currency world on the other. It's about understanding the forces at play.
So the future of money is a choose-your-own adventure.
In a way, yes, but Alden points out some pretty significant trends shaping the trajectory of money as we know it. One of the biggest is the undeniable move towards digitization in every aspect of our lives, especially in finance.
It's true. I mean, we're already using mobile payments, online banking, even dabbling in crypto.
Exactly. And alongside this digitization, we're seeing a growing distrust in traditional financial
Yeah.
institutions. Alden highlights how many people, especially younger generations, are losing faith in the systems that govern our financial lives.
Yeah, after the 2008 crisis, constant inflation, it's like, who can you trust?
Right. It's not just about technology, it's about a loss of faith in the institutions themselves. And this skepticism is driving a search for alternatives, for more transparency, more control, and yeah, more security.
So it's a push for greater financial autonomy. Is that where Bitcoin comes in?
Absolutely. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies represent a way to store and transfer value outside the traditional centralized system.
But, as we discussed, governments aren't going down without a fight. Hence, the emergence of CBDCs. It's like they're trying to maintain control in this evolving digital landscape.
Exactly. It's a fascinating power struggle unfolding in real time. On one hand, cryptocurrencies offer individual empowerment. On the other, CBDCs could give governments an unprecedented level of control over our financial lives.
It's a bit unnerving when you think about it. The potential for surveillance, for control over how we spend our own money, it feels like something out of a dystopian novel.
It's a possibility we can't ignore. But on the flip side, the widespread adoption of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin could lead to a future where individuals have much more autonomy over their finances, potentially diminishing the role of traditional banks. It's a potential paradigm shift.
So it's a fork in the road. Down one path, increased centralized control. Down the other, a more open, decentralized financial system. But Alden acknowledges that this path towards decentralization isn't without its challenges, right?
Right. She emphasizes the need for a collective shift in mindset. We're so used to governments and central banks managing things. Taking full responsibility for our own financial well-being can seem daunting.
It's like we're used to training wheels. Taking them off can be scary.
Exactly. And then there's the issue of volatility. Cryptocurrencies are famous for their price swings, so a world where they play a major role could be prone to booms and busts.
So no easy answers then.
Not really. There are trade-offs with each approach. But Alden believes the potential benefits of a more open, decentralized financial system, particularly in terms of individual empowerment and fostering innovation, outweigh the risks.
It's a bold vision, and there will undoubtedly be resistance. But looking back at our conversation, it's clear that the history of money is all about evolution. We've moved from bartering to precious metals to fiat currencies, and now we're on the cusp of a digital revolution. It's about pushing boundaries and exploring new possibilities.
That's what makes Alden's work so thought-provoking. Broken money isn't just about economics or Bitcoin. It's about power, liberty, and shaping the future we want. It challenges us to question systems we often take for granted.
It's a must-read for anyone who wants to understand not just the future of money, but the future, period. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been my pleasure.
And to our listeners, we leave you with this. What will money mean to you in the years to come? Keep exploring these questions, keep learning, and keep asking the hard questions. That's it for this deep dive.